parents actually don't like my music. And that was interesting.
Hello, Emilía. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited to talk to you. And yeah, I'm just so excited. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for your time. We are very, very excited about this episode and this conversation with you. We met in Miami. You were singing at a few yoga events that Rosie and I attended. Mm-hmm. And since then, I've been following you on your social, on Instagram, and see your travels, your retreat, your singing, and everything that you do and that we're going to be talking about. But actually, I think we're going to start with something that I don't know anything about you, is your Hawaiian heritage. So could you tell us a little bit about those origins?
Okay, sure. So my mother is Hawaiian Chinese and my father is what we call in Hawaiian haole. Haole literally means foreigner, but it's a slang word that we use for the white people. So my father has blonde hair and blue eyes, and he's from the interior of Georgia. And he says he doesn't have a southern accent, but he does. And all of his family definitely has a very deep southern accent. And my mom was just this beautiful Polynesian princess, Hawaiian Chinese, and people often ask me how they met. And they met because my father was living his dream. Being from Georgia, it was always his dream to go to Hawaii and surf. So when he graduated from college, what did he do? He lived his dream, and he met my mom. So, yeah, Hawaii is a beautiful land. It's very fresh land in terms of how long ago it was formed by volcanoes. It is volcanic. We still have some active volcanoes. The big island, Hawaii Island, is still growing because it's consistently erupting. Right. So it's still growing. And it's a very spiritual place.
I was going to ask you about that because I've never been to Hawaii, but from what I've heard, of what I've read, of what I've seen, I always associate in my head Hawaii with Mother Earth, with nature, like a strong, connection. And I was wondering if those heritage maybe explain your connection with nature and spirituality.
I couldn't answer that because when you grow up, you only know what you know, and you're not aware of what is normal for you not being normal for other people. Yeah. And so growing up, I was just me, but I'm pretty sure that I always was very spiritual. Although for a certain amount of time, I definitely denied it. And I tried to be cool. And to me, cool was like a party animal and like I'll go clubbing and stuff like that. But deep down inside, it's always called me. And so now where I am in life at this moment, I feel very authentic and very grateful to do what I do and have started to accept myself thoroughly. Because when the way we do one thing is the way we do anything. So if we can accept ourselves, we can accept other people just as they are. Yeah. But if we're judging ourselves, then we're going to project those on other people. I hope I'm not straying too much from the original question about if I think that impacted my spirituality. But one thing is that I think because the land is so young, you can still feel Mother Earth's energy there, and the energy hasn't been paved over as much or adulterated by the human hand. Although on the island that I'm from, Oahu, we have Costco's, we have highways, we have traffic galore. We have modern problems as well.
Is it a place where you go back to regularly?
Nowadays, I go back about once a year because it's pretty far. It's
I was going to say, it's not next door. Yeah.
But I do try to talk to my grandmother, who is definitely my deepest Hawaiian root. She's I always tell stories about her because she's a living history book. She's seen so much change.
I can
And
imagine.
yeah, she's over 90.
Wow.
Wow.
So she's seen climate change. She's seen the dawn of the internet. Before, when she was a kid, in order to travel from one island to another, she and her siblings would get on a boat made for cows, for cattle. And so they would just get on, and the cattle boat didn't even go all the way into the harbor. It would like pull in, and then they would push the cows off, and the cows would intuitively swim to the land.
Ah,
And my
okay.
grandmother and her siblings would get off the boat and swim to the land. Now we have airplanes that,
Yeah.
regular flights. Yeah, it's a
Wow.
different world, but it's the same world at the same time. So,
Yeah. So you were born in the US,
yes.
but with, like you said, a very strong Hawaiian heritage in your family and I guess in your household. How did that impact your childhood growing up, maybe culturally speaking?
Yeah, so my childhood was really interesting. I think that one of the tasks in my life is to to overcome feeling like I'm not enough X, Y, or Z. Because in my father's family, my brother is the eldest. There are three of us. It's my brother, then my sister, then me. And in my father's family, all of his siblings, he has six siblings, and they all married American. American. And so my father was the only one that branched out and married Polynesian Asian. So when my mom got pregnant with my brother, my father's mother was concerned that my brother would come out deformed or with some kind of a mental incapacity. And so we were kind of like that branch of the family that was unusual
Mm,
and not enough this. My brother
yeah.
has really dark, like black hair, kind of Asian features. And so I lived in North Carolina for part of my life as a child, and I didn't feel like I fit in with the culture.
Right.
Mm,
But then at the same time, when I'd go to Hawaii, because I look the most haole, the white, of all my siblings, I would get teased because I wasn't Hawaiian enough.
mm,
And
Interesting.
so that really helped me work on acceptance. And and I think that it's through these challenges that we become better people. And then I moved to Miami and I started learning Spanish, but I'm not Latina.
Mm.
And so once again, I'm like not Latina enough, but
mm.
I love the culture and I think it's a really beautiful challenge to have in life, to bring yourself consistently out of your comfort zone, to
Yeah.
adapt and to accept.
Yeah. Belonging is such an important part of our lives, and maybe we don't talk enough about it. It might be, I think, a bit underrated, but I think wherever we come from, whatever age group, race, gender, education, we all want to belong to a group, to a community, to a country, whatever it is. And I mean, nobody likes to be rejected. Nobody likes to be apart, to be left apart, left aside, stuff like that. And it's very interesting how I think everyone go through this experience at some point. It can be very different, but ultimately also the same. We all, like you said, it's very interesting that growing up in a place you struggle to belong because of your origin, and when you are going back to this origin, you didn't feel you belong there because also like, it's you can't get it right in a way. But it's like you said, I think it probably impacted a lot who you are today, and all those challenges and experiences forged and created the personality and everything that you do now as well to help other people heal whatever they're going through.
Yeah, because the way that I didn't fit in was one way. But then on a
Mm.
day-to-day basis, when we enter a new activity and it's our first time doing something, or we're curious about something, and for example, once I dated a guy and I was like, come to these like holistic wellness events, da da da, da," and he was like, I'm not hippie enough. He was like, they're gonna judge me because I'm not hippie enough. And I was like, you're judging yourself.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why I don't know if we're going to get to this later in the conversation, but I host this monthly gathering called Kani Kapila, and everyone is welcome. And I really try my best to create a supportive, just comfortable container for everyone to be vulnerable, to laugh, to dance, to sing, to express whatever needs to come out, and to feel like they're not going to get laughed at. And if anything, people are going to join them.
Yeah.
And we're going to turn it into a dance party suddenly, or we're going to make a song out of something that they just let out. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a very, very special community in Miami about that, I think. I don't know how we can call it, the spiritual community, maybe, just to put a label on there. I think it's amazing. There's always some sort of event that creates a safe space for people to be who they are. And that was very transformative for us. Very disturbing at the time. A little bit like this guy you said, like, I don't think I belong there. I don't fit in. But once you break through those discussions, those stories, and you actually surrender and go and give it a shot, it can be very transformational. And we had amazing experience through those human connections event and stuff like that we had. It was really, really amazing.
Yeah, and there has to be a first time for everything. You don't go in having friends. You get to enjoy the journey of the curiosity and the fear and overcome it. And then you reap the fruits of your labor, which is fitting in, having friends, and then probably creating your own thing to bring more people in eventually.
Yeah.
In a way, it's kind of like parenting. It's like, you as a kid, you grow and you learn, and you're like, oh, I'm learning this thing. And then one day you get to go offer your own thing.
And experiment by yourself. Yeah. So when did singing enter your life, and music in general, maybe, before singing?
It was always singing. Yeah, as a little kid, I was funny. Funny as in weird. But all little kids are weird, right? Because we're unabashedly authentic. We don't know that what we're doing is not normal. Yeah, because we have no base of reference.
Yeah.
And so as a little kid, I went through a stage where I would repeat everything. And I would repeat people too, and I would imitate their voices. So if someone were like, "A cheeseburger, please," I'd be like, "A cheeseburger, please." Or whatever it was, or if there was sound outside of like a bird being like, "Woo, woo, woo, woo," I'd be like, "Woo, woo, woo, woo." And so growing up, I used to just like sing and dance. Everything I did was singing and dancing, and I'd make everything into a song and everything into a dance. And I kind of still do that. But in terms of actually singing professionally, I only released music for the first time in 2017, or I think 2019.
Oh, wow.
I just started releasing music under my own name because I didn't give myself permission. I didn't think I was worthy. I didn't think anyone wanted to listen. I didn't think that my lyrics were of value. And someone, I don't even remember how, but someone else actually gave me the permission that I wish I had given myself. And they're like, "You need to put that out." And so I did. And from that point forward, I've just been releasing music.
Wow.
So what did you do before you started releasing music? So obviously if that was a hobby and that was something you did for fun, what were you doing before? Like, I don't know how old you are, but in that kind of 20s age.
Oh, in my 20s.
Were you in Miami or?
Oh, those were some really wild and fun times. I was in Miami, and I worked as a professional presenter. So I worked for a company that sold sustainable products for industrial sized buildings. So for hospitals, for schools, for very large buildings. And I would go in and I would talk about the products. And then I would meet all the architects and the interior designers. I said, whenever you have a project that's industrial, keep us in mind. We would love to be of service. So I did that for a little while in Miami. And then I saw the trajectory of where my life was going to go. And I thought, okay, I had a boyfriend, I had a car, I had a nice apartment, I had a salary, a company card, I had my own secretary, and I was young. I was like 24,
Mm.
25. And I thought, no, you know what? I need more adventure in my life. And so I had multiple house parties in my apartment, and I would tell my friends, take whatever you want. And so I had
Mm.
friends come over and they took all my dishes. I had friends come over, they take half my closet, my shoes, my furniture, and whatever was left over, I donated it to the Veterans or Kidney
Mm.
Foundation, some foundation, and I moved to Brazil.
Oh wow.
And I just started over in Brazil.
You moved
Wow.
there on your own.
Yes,
Did you have a job or any friends, or you just packed up and left?
I packed up and left. I did not have any
Hmm.
friends, but I studied. I had signed myself up for a course to become an English teacher
Mm, okay.
because it's quite a valuable um, asset to speak
Yeah.
English
Yeah.
in South America. So I found a place to live for 1 month, and the length of the course to teach was 1 month. And the director of the course took a liking to me. So when I graduated, she gave me connections to very high-paying clients. So I moved to another apartment I lived in Rio. So I moved
Mm.
to an apartment that was 3 blocks from the beach. And I had a beautiful life.
Wow.
Yeah, I would go out dancing like 2 or 3 nights a week, go for a jog on the beach to watch the sunrise. And I made really good friends there, so I traveled around Brazil as well. And just as you guys are now back in Europe, I flew back to Hawaii. I abandoned my life there and flew back to Hawaii because my grandmother got sick, and they told me that
Mm.
she was going to pass. And so I stayed there for a couple of years, and she didn't pass. She's still alive today, as I mentioned. I kind of think my family just wanted me to go home.
Right.
Because they're so far away. Hawaii is so far away
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Miami and from Brazil.
Yeah.
Um, and then I came back here and started working in Miami. Started working at an international school, and then when a specific president got elected, there were a lot of immigration problems, and because I was at an
Mm.
international school,
Mm.
the enrollments dropped significantly. So I transitioned out of there into audio-visual translation,
Mm.
which was a
Mm.
completely new
Interesting.
field, but
Yeah.
it's always had to do with languages and sounds for
Yeah.
me. So in Brazil, I learned Portuguese, and then at the international school, I was speaking multiple languages, and then as an audiovisual translator, it just seemed really natural because I was also recruiting people from South America and
Right.
training them. So yeah.
It's really interesting how at around 24 years old, according to the standard of society, life was great for you, right? I mean, like you were checking the boxes. Good job, good money, boyfriend, a place in Miami. Like you're doing pretty well. You would have been successful according to the standard of society, right? And is it just a sense of I want more adventure in my life, or was it maybe that this life was not fulfilling you?
Oh,
Was it like deeper than that? Oh, okay.
yeah. There's more to life than this. And it
Mm.
was actually that same thing that we were talking about earlier, leaving your comfort zone.
Mm.
Because I had life on autopilot.
Mm.
And I was too young. I said, no, I want to grow.
How did you see that? Because usually we struggle to realize that life is happening to us, that we are in autopilot. It's usually very hard to realize this about ourselves. What was the Did something happen for you to realize that, or were you just very self-aware about what you were doing? And
I think I was self-aware. Yeah,
yeah,
so I moved out when I was
interesting.
15. So and I love silence. Even though I'm a musician, I love silence because that's when we can listen to our intuition.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel that I'm a grandmother spirit inside of this body, which sometimes I forget how old I am. I'm like, I'm so old, and then I'm like, wait, I'm actually not. That was my spirit.
A lot of wisdom then.
Yes, but also very playful. I aspire to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's really brave at 24 years old to pack everything, leave your life behind, and say like, you know what, I'm going. It's really courageous. I think it takes a lot of courage to just leave the comfort of your house and your friends and everything to start a new life. And I mean, I think it's amazing, but I think so many people would love the idea of doing that, but they're terrified by it, actually.
Yeah, to me
And
there was no other option. Staying where I
wow,
was not appealing to me.
that's so interesting that you had this, yeah, this, and it's so cool that you did it also so young. I think because you didn't waste too many years, doing this life that you didn't like ultimately. So
Yeah.
Why did you choose Brazil
Oh,
over everywhere in the entire world? Why Brazil?
why not? No.
Yeah, well,
that's a good answer.
No, but there are many reasons. I think that, and this might sound shallow, but in Hawaii, people would oftentimes think I was Brazilian by not only the way I look, but apparently my energy. And so I was always intrigued by what Brazil held energetically. And I lived in Argentina for a little while in 2007. During that
okay.
time, I took a trip solo to Brazil for 3 weeks and I learned Portuguese. And I was like, I'm going to come back here one day. And so
Wow.
then a few years later, I was like, I want to change my life. I've always wanted to live in Brazil. There's no time like the present. Tomorrow is not promised. So I set a financial goal, and when I met that goal, I quit my job and started the transition.
So
Because
cool.
I thought if it doesn't work out, I'll just come back and start over again.
Yeah.
I love that. Like we had the same process last year about leaving Miami. Like it was the same. Like we need to save some money to be able to survive for a few months and travel, and then we'll be able to, yeah, to enjoy life and everything. And I was scared, obviously, of doing it. I had a very comfortable job situation and everything. Is that a good idea? Is that very stupid? All those chatter in my mind.
Yeah.
And what you just said, like writing down and realizing that what is the worst that can happen? Worst case scenario, I just get a job again and move back into an apartment, went somewhere and go back to normal life, quote unquote. It's worth the risk when you see it this way. And yeah, when I realized that, I was like, let's do it. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cool that you did that 24 years old. Life changing, I think.
Yes, definitely. It was pivotal. A lot of things in my life have been pivotal, and I'm really grateful for that because I get to live many lives in one life. And
Yeah.
uh, a metaphor that I like to share a lot is a diamond. The more facets a diamond has, the more valuable it is. And I didn't realize it, but every step of my path has been essential to bring me where I am today, to have the skills, the soft skills that I've acquired to do what I do.
It's a beautiful image,
Yeah.
especially when you think that society and everything is trying to make us all the same, think the same way, like the same things, stuff like that. But as human being, yeah, we are multifaceted people and personalities, and yeah, I really like this one.
Thank you. And it's really important to follow our interests because they're there for a
Yeah.
reason.
So I would love to ask you about what you're doing right now, because I know obviously you are a singer and you said you always sang as you were a child and you only started releasing music in 2019, I think you
Yeah.
said. Talk to us about what you do now with your music, because it's not just singing. You also do ceremonies and yoga, singing for yoga teachers and lots of different things and retreats and things. I'd love to learn more about what you do.
So what another image that I like to use is a mandala, right? So it's going to be like the circle, and then it'll have different things shooting out, but the center is music for me. Everything that I do has is anchored in music. So I'm also a yoga instructor, and for every yoga session, I always seal the energy singing. It's like a transcendental shavasana where I'll use different instruments to elevate, and I'll use my voice as an instrument to just take people on a journey. And so I teach yoga. Also, I teach different workshops for throat chakra or vocal activation. So I did a series with Modern Om, and I also work at retreats doing different activations like that and at festivals. So at Art With Me, I had a few workshops because it's a divine channel and it's powerful. And I think a recurring theme of our conversation has been getting to know the uncomfortable so that we can grow through it, like leaning into it to get the skills to move forward. And so in these workshops, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but a large portion of the time, tears will be shed because people will remember some kind of a trauma that they've been holding on to, and they haven't even been aware of it, and then they liberate it. And I'm going to tell you guys something I haven't ever told in an interview. This is kind of weird, but
Okay.
one of the ways that I gauge how effective my work has been is by how many tears are shed, because it's a beautiful form of purging. We have a lot of forms of purging, particularly in ceremony, but sometimes it's just a flood of tears, and the person doesn't know why, and they don't want to, but it's just uncontrollable and ecstatic at the same time.
Yeah, it can be a very very healing to let it
Yeah,
go.
it's cathartic.
To yeah, to because very often we bury trauma very deep down and seal it in a box, in a vault, and we never want to see that again. But when we can find the tools to let it go, to surrender and exteriorize it, and it can be crying, scream, whatever the form is, but it's a relief, because usually it's years and years of carrying this burden in our bodies. And yeah, I mean, this is something that we've experienced also through a few workshops in Miami, and you feel very different when you walk out than when you came in. You know, you feel a totally different person,
Yeah.
and it's very relieving.
Yeah, and I'm deeply empathetic. So when I see someone crying, I'm in my nose and I just become a puddle.
Same.
But it's part of the human experience. And recently I
Yeah,
read,
connection.
yeah, I read that if someone yawns and it makes you yawn too, it's a sign of empathy. Yeah,
Interesting.
I read it. I don't know if it's 100% true.
Yeah. So right now, music and, let's say, spirituality are two very important pillar in your
Yes.
life. But so you said you released your first record just a few years ago. Singing has always been part of your life, but not professionally speaking. Um,
It,
I've
yeah,
heard, yeah.
it has been, just to clarify on that point, I have been singing professionally, but I never put anything under my own name. So I used to sing
Ah,
electronic music with a band. It was a DJ. It was two producers. And so we have, I don't even know how many songs, maybe six, seven, eight songs of us as a band. And it was a very different style.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, because I've heard many time, and I'm sure you've heard it as well. You know, singing is not a career. You're never gonna make it. It's not a real job. All those narratives that we love to put out in our society at the moment. Is that something that you had to go through? People telling you can't sing, or you're never gonna make it, stuff like that. Did you have to fight those challenges as
What do
well?
you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, probably. But
Yes, 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 yes. Because it's important to be stable and to have money to pay your rent and food to eat. And I agree. I've been financially independent for like 15 years. Um, but also it's important to follow your dreams and to live your dreams. And so I think that when I came back, I did my yoga teacher training in India. And when I came back, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. It was very stereotypical. I quit the audiovisual translator job and I was like, I'm out of here. I never want to see a computer again, even though I knew I was going to. But I need a pause from the computers. I'm going to India, one-way ticket, and I bought a one-way ticket. And I was at the gate for my flight to India, and they wouldn't let me on. I needed to have an exit flight. So I bought the flight
Oh,
at the airport, got on the plane, and canceled
cancelled it.
it. But
We did that.
yeah. And then I came back and I started teaching yoga. And now I don't live exclusively from music because fortunately, I also, people are hiring me to go work at retreats. And I am singing, but I'm also providing other types of support. But it's primarily singing. And also I facilitate meditation as well, but always with music. It's like a meditation concert.
Yeah. So, through the challenges that you had to face when you wanted singing and music to be a bigger part of your life, but you had, again, all those people telling you that it's impossible, you can't make it, blah, blah, blah. Did you ever felt at a point where you thought about maybe giving up, actually, like, and maybe believing those people, like, yeah, you're right, I can't do this, and I'm gonna stop singing and music and live this boring life? I don't know. Did that ever cross your
Yes, I
mind?
had a boyfriend for a couple of years who told me that my voice was nothing special and I should keep my day job. And so I didn't sing for years. And also I would distract myself because, and it goes back to worthiness. I didn't feel like my voice was anything special, like my lyrics were worthy of anything, like anyone wanted to hear me, like my voice was a contribution to society. So I just didn't sing. And instead I would like go out and try to get drunk and like do the typical stuff. And I'm not saying that that's not a lifestyle that is one to be honored. Everything is valid and there are tons of different paths, billions of different paths to take, but it never felt fulfilling to me to go to work from Monday to Friday, go party on Friday night, wake up and eat some junky food because I feel bad, repeat it on Saturday night, go party again, Sunday be like, "Ugh, I can barely make it to the beach." Sunday night, go grocery shopping, food prep, and then Monday start over again. It was not fulfilling. And I tried. And I guess I just am very honest with myself. I know myself, which I'm grateful for. But also, I tell people this sometimes, awareness is a bitch because once you're aware, once you know, you can't know.
Oh yeah, you know.
You can't lie to
Yeah.
yourself. If you lie to yourself, it's going to be worse. So once you're aware, then it's like,
Very good point.
if you're not making changes, then you to yourself are like, hey, hey, self.
I'll quote this one. Awareness can be a bitch. That's a very good one. But no, it's also very true. I understand what you mean. Like, once you know, and you can't pretend
Yeah,
not
it's
to
hard to go
see.
back to like the
Yeah,
normal life and the
we were
like
talking about that
normal
recently.
jobs and
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
all the wisdom
yeah.
is like,
So
excuse
yeah,
me.
yeah.
yeah. So what was so despite, like you said, like this boyfriend telling you your voice was not special and all those challenges, where did you find the strength to overcome all those obstacles and say, you know what, I'm actually worth it. I can do this. This is something that I can have in my life.
When I worked with the producers, so they were my two best friends, a guy and a girl, and we were a trio, and they actually are romantically involved. They've been living together for like 8 years now, and I introduced them because it's my best guy friend and my best female friend, and so now they're together.
Oh,
And so my female friend, it was very supportive of like, she's like, no, go for it, sing like you're in the choir, like you're singing the gospel at a church, and so she was very supportive. But then that scene, the party scene, started not being of interest to me anymore. And I think
Right.
so. The first song that I ever released with my own name was a song that I wrote after having sat in ceremony.
Oh.
So that was a whole new world.
Mm.
And from that point on, it's just been flow.
And how did you decide? Because I think what makes you very unique is the fact that you're combining through your workshops, your ceremonies, the retreats you're attending, uh, also your yoga teaching, this mix of music and the spirituality, bringing both sides together. How did you came up with this idea, and how did you develop it through the years to really create this lifestyle that you have right now?
I can't say that it was a conscious decision. I'd have to say that
Oh,
spirit and the great architect of life have really created this path for me. And it was a practice of giving the sacred yes and the sacred no. The sacred
mm,
yes is at those moments when you're like, "Oh my gosh, really? I don't know if I'm capable. Oh, really? This is I can do I don't know." Because sometimes if we don't feel capable, then we'll say no. And
Mm.
and really that's the sacred yes. Like the yes. And the sacred no is something that's easy, that's comfortable. It's kind of like convenience food. That's like easy,
mm,
you can do it. It's
yeah.
convenient, but instead saying no, because that's an investment of your attention, of your vital energy, and of your limited time here on earth. So do you want to jump into
Mm.
the uncomfortable, which is the growth of the sacred yes, or do you just want to go deeper into the sacred no? No.
Mm,
So I don't know that it was a conscious decision. I think that it was, and actually this goes back to every step on my path has given me the skills to do what I do now. So it was navigating all of those
right.
situations where it was like, yeah, it's spiritual, but it's not this. Or yeah, it's yoga, but it's not that. And then finally, okay, if it doesn't fit this criteria, it's not for me. And I'll happily recommend someone else that I think will do it great. Because I'm also not trying to
Mm.
steal someone else's opportunity.
You're very authentic about that. Like that again is self-awareness and also very authentic about it. It's you you know who you are, you know what you can do for people, and you are true to yourself. You, it's an amazing value I think to have.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to be because no one wants to waste anyone's time, and you
Mm.
don't want to waste your own time.
But a lot of people do it for money. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I
You
recently
know,
had,
that's why I think
yeah,
it's
I
special.
recently practiced the sacred no for money. Someone
Yeah.
from the
Mm.
electronic music scene, a producer, um, wrote to me and he's like, "Hey, I have this track. Are you available to write the lyrics and record?" And the pay was good. It was decent, and I knew that I could do it, but I didn't
Mm.
want to invest my time. So I suggested someone else.
It's a very powerful thing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That is like it takes strength to be able to say no to things, especially I think when it involves money and you kind of think, oh, what could I do with that amount of money? You know, I could do this, I could do that. And then to be able to say, actually, no, it's not something that aligns with what I want to do. It's a very powerful way to live your life, I think, to only say yes to things that actually resonate with you and that you actually want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but also it's the way it's practicing the sacred no, and this is really trusting in faith. In practicing the sacred no, more sacred yeses will come your way. I had
Mm.
a prime example of that on Valentine's Day. When today, if you're watching this now, people of the future, we're in May. So Valentine's Day, I was contacted to sing at Joya Beach for Valentine's Day. And Joya Beach Club is a beautiful club. The pay was pretty good, but it was not my style of music. It was a style of music that I used to
Mm.
sing that I can definitely nail and give a great show, but I didn't want to do it. And so I said,
Mm.
I'm going to pass on this. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope you have a beautiful event. I'm not I'm not available. And like 2 days later, I got contacted to sing at a wedding on Valentine's Day at a Buddhist sanctuary in Homestead. And they said, sing anything, whatever you want to sing, we trust you because we love your style, we love your energy, we love your music. So it was fully aligned, and it was a little bit more
Yeah.
money too.
When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. You, something I want to really point to is that you make it sound really easy, all those decisions, you know, about packing your bag and leaving, about being true with your value and stuff like that. But it's actually, I mean, we all struggle with those conversations. We all face those challenges at some point, and it's not that easy to just do it. How did you learn, and what kind of practice maybe did you incorporate in your life to really live this very aligned life that you're living now?
I might need to reflect on that one. I will admit that moving to Brazil was one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life, because I came from having lived in Miami. I went to college here, and then right after college, I got a job. So I was familiar with Miami. I had a community of friends. I had my boyfriend. I had my whole life set up. And I moved to Brazil. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows if I'm alive, where I am. My phone went from ding, 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 to I wish someone would bother me, even a telemarketer. But it was quite challenging. That transition was not easy. But going back to the question about what practices, I think it goes back to the beginning of the conversation that I've always been spiritual, loved silence, and been introspective. I think journaling could have been a practice, because I have volumes of journals. Yeah, and it's really interesting to go back and say, wow, wow, this is what I was doing to myself. This is how I spoke to myself. But journaling is really beautiful for me because I love words.
That makes sense.
I love languages. Yeah.
And you also, before, you said that for years, even if music and singing and producing music was part of your life, you didn't feel you could do it in your own name, because you had this conversation of being worthy and stuff like that. And you mentioned that a friend helped you to actually do it, but more like personally and inside, from within, how did you overcome those chatters, those actually this is something I can do, I am worthy of having my name on a disc or whatever on Spotify?
It was just breathing through it. And also allowing, because if you look at the energetic scale of vibrations, anxiety and fear they're the same as excitement. Because anxiety is very similar to anticipation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But anticipation, so anxiety has a fully negative connotation. Anticipation can have a positive connotation or a negative one. So then anticipation is not that far from excitement. So I would just turn it into excitement and be like, wow, I don't care if nobody listens to it. I'm releasing my first song. And then it was addictive. The process was, because it's the roller coaster of, oh my goodness, okay, we're producing, da da da, the build up, we're gonna release. And after the first one, I was like, I want to do this my whole life.
Was it scary though?
Yes.
Because you're putting yourself out there, like your name is out there, so you know you're gonna be judged. You know people are gonna have opinions about it. Everyone is not gonna like you. Everyone is not gonna like your music. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, I'm a very private person as well. So even social media, I have a lot of work to do in vulnerability and allowing myself to be seen. And that's why I do the things that I do, because I feel like I'm not the only one, and I've been working so hard on it that I know 1.5 billion modalities. So, so what I have learned that has gotten me this far, I can share it with someone and hopefully get them even further than I am. But yeah, so my parents actually don't like my music, and that was interesting. Um,
And they told you that?
yes,
Wow. How was that to take?
it was
Because
okay.
coming... I think I'd struggle with that if my parents told me that. I'd be like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, I was like, okay, because I know that nothing is for everyone.
Yeah.
And so I was fine with it. And then they complained that they can't understand me because I almost never sing in English. My parents only sing or speak English.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So my songs are in, right now, I have one in Portuguese, I have a couple in Spanish, I have one in Yoruba. Next is going to be Hawaiian. And then one day I'll have one in Sanskrit for sure. And maybe Gurumo.
It's really. I'm going back to that again because again it's like your answer are always very. It seems so easy when you when you say it, you know. Like, yeah, just it doesn't bother me, or I just went through it. But I wonder where this is coming from. You know, it must be in years and years of practice, and like you said, this sitting in silence and going within and learning who you are and being okay with your feelings and everything. Like, I don't know, you know, for a lot of people, including myself, even if I'm practicing it, just sitting for 10 minutes or 15 minutes meditating in silence can be the hardest thing ever, right? And yeah, it's if you can go through it though, the value that it's going to bring into your life is tremendous. But like, when did meditation came into your life? Is that something that you actually, oh, today I'm going to learn how to meditate, and you downloaded an app and you learned it, or it was just maybe something you've always done without knowing you are doing it in a sense?
So I'm going to say something that I think a lot of people will disagree with, and I'm fine with that. I don't believe that meditation necessarily means that we have to sit down in silence. I
Yeah.
believe that meditation is simply having silence around you and going about your life. So in my life, if I am organizing my room or washing the dishes and I'm fully present and I don't have music on in the background, I don't have someone talking to me, then I have peace. And then I'll reflect. And I guess I've just spent a lot of time alone. I'm not really sure, but I have read a lot of Deepak Chopra books. And I'm not sure what first attracted me to them. But my first role in meditation guidance was guided visualizations. I loved guided visualizations. And so I used to facilitate them. And then I started working with meditation, and this is funny. I can say it now. I I was recruited to teach yoga at Equinox. And so I passed the audition and all that good stuff, and they gave me my first class. And my first class was going to be a 75-minute vinyasa flow and a 15-minute meditation class. And I had never taught meditation before. And they were like, these are your classes, enjoy. And I was like, holy crap. So, fortunately, right at that time, a friend of mine, she wasn't even a friend, it was an acquaintance, invited me to do the 21 Days of Abundance by
Oh, yeah.
Deepak
Oh,
Chopra.
yeah.
And this was many moons ago. And I was like, oh, what is this? Yeah, I'll check it out. And so I went down the rabbit hole of all these different meditations and mantra meditations. And so that really aligned with me because I could just sing the mantra, I could explain what the mantras were, and then I could just sing them for about 15 minutes and get other people involved, take a pause, circle back to the mantra, how it's connecting with us at this moment, and then keep going. And then now I can give an entire concert of mantra meditation with just we'll choose one theme, and that will be the needle and thread that weave all the songs together. And so it was really beautiful. Thank you, Equinox. Thank you, Equinox, for giving me something that I thought I wasn't ready for, and that was a perfect application of the sacred yes. I didn't feel
Yeah.
ready, but I wasn't going to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, saying yes to opportunities. You never know what it's going to lead to in life, right? You never know until you say yes, you try it, and you give it a shot. It's a good lesson. Could you tell us a little bit more about specifically songwriting? Because you create your own music, right? And you
Yes.
write songs. And I feel from a not musician singer perspective that this is taking the domain to a whole other level because it's you. You know, it's not just singing the song of someone else. It's putting a piece of yourself, maybe in a way, out there,
Yeah.
and being very vulnerable and stuff like that. I wonder about your creative process. What inspired you to write a song, to create a song, and how do you feel about also sharing them in public, or maybe you don't share them all in public because some of them you, I don't know, for some reason want to keep them for yourself.
That's a great question. So the songwriting process, people would ask me sometimes, which comes first, the words or the melody? And sometimes they come together. But a lot of times I would just write in my journal. So it goes back to the journaling. I would write
Okay.
in my journal, and then I didn't play any instruments until recently. So before then, if I were with a guitarist and that person would start just playing chords, I could freestyle lyrics on top of their chords.
Right.
Or I could say, oh, you know what, keep doing that. I have these lyrics. Let's see how they sound like this. And we would build a song together. But now what happens is I'll grab an ukulele and I'll just play some chords and something will come out and I'll just press the record. Thank goodness for the voice memo function on the phones.
Yeah.
Because before that, oh my
Never been
gosh.
easier.
Yeah, I don't know how I remembered any songs before the voice memo function. I probably have dozens of songs that are just forgotten. But yeah, in total, I've written over 30 songs, easily.
Wow.
Recorded of my own name, I think I have like 7 or 8.
How did you learn the ukulele? Was that something that you just picked up one day and figured it out, or did you do classes? Like, how did that come about?
Everything I just figured out.
I love that.
You're very intuitive, I feel.
But I'm going to change that. I am figuring out things as they come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister came to Brazil to visit me when I was there, and she had just picked up the ukulele, and she was like da da da, and very very choppy, not fluid,
Yeah.
and so we were singing, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. It's so cool that you're playing ukulele, and I said, I wonder if I can, and so I just do, and then I just kept on teaching myself, and now I have a couple. So this one,
That's cool.
that I know of, I am the third mother of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's traveled.
Who were the first two mothers?
I think my sister gave it to me. So she was the second mother. And I think she got it from one of our mutual friends who I haven't seen in like a decade. Her name is Leah Dawson, and she's a world famous surfer and eco activist, particularly about water techniques. Yeah. So it's traveled to at least 5 continents.
That's cool.
Probably.
That's really cool. And recently you released a song in, I'm gonna butcher the name, but in an African language,
Yeah,
right?
Yoruba.
How did you come up with this idea? Because it's very random, right? Like, how did you decide to sing a song and write a song in an African language?
So that one I didn't write the lyrics to. I don't speak
Okay.
Yoruba, but it's a beautiful song, and it's oftentimes sung in ceremony. And it's sung, in my experience, it's sung at a time when people need comforting. Because the words, the essence of the song, and a lot of times if you look at a direct translation, it loses all of the essence. So
Yeah.
the essence of the song is one of comforting, of sitting on your mother's lap and being embraced. And it's for Oshun, who's the goddess of fertility and of compassion and also of beauty. And some of her manifestations are, you know how Hindu deities have different things that represent them?
Yeah.
So some of hers are the peacock, to like allow yourself to be seen like beauty, right? And honey for sweetness, and fresh water for flow. Yeah. So that I chose that one because it really spoke to me in ceremony.
So you're at the point in your life where it seems, from my point of view, that you're living a very fulfilled and aligned life. You, in a way, it's interesting, going back to when you were 24 years old, you were very successful according to the American society, but not happy. And now the American society would say that you are a hippie, probably.
I know, I'm one of those
And
damn
but but you are living maybe in a different way, a very even more successful life than you were before for you, and very aligned with who you were, and very fulfilling, making you happy. What's next for you? How do you improve that? What you have right now? What's your vision? For the next step.
Oh, thank you for that question. I I would love to share what I do on a larger scale. So I'm really grateful. This year so far, I think I've worked at 4 different retreats,
Oh.
um, with healing through music, through song, yoga, meditation, mindfulness practices, and the feedback that I receive is that sometimes simply talking to me can be therapeutic. That even from women that are older in linear age, that have had children and like have been married and stuff, that just talking to me they can still learn, and it's calming and soothing and healing to them. So I would love to do this on a larger scale. I would love to share what I do at more festivals and perhaps at larger retreats, because at this last one, I think there were 24 women. When I do my own retreats, I have very small groups, like 6, 8, maybe 10 people, because I want to give personalized attention to everyone. But also, we heal through each other's experiences. So if I could share this on a larger scale and internationally, I think that would be really aligned with the places my life has put me. The fact that now I speak Spanish and I speak Portuguese, I don't think that those are coincidences. I think that in my life, those are going to be exactly what is required for my role.
Yeah.
Also, what I would love to do is with my project Kanikapila, I don't want to call it project, um, with my spiritual baby, Kanikapila, I would love to see that grow and expand, because that is a way that we inspire and uplift the community. And it's just so elevating in terms of energy, and it's quite unique as well. So I'd love to see that grow into a whole festival.
Much needed,
Yeah.
because we need unity at this time. So
Oh my goodness, we need so much.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that would be much needed for the world, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, then it shall be. If you say we need
it
it, I'll
is.
serve it.
Here we go. Well, thank you so much, Emilia. That's been wonderful, getting to know you a bit more and really understanding, what made you the person you became today, and everything that you do. And it's very, I think, inspiring, to see how aligned you are with who you are and what you do. Everything seems to be in sync with each other, and
Yeah.
and and it's just really nice to see that first it's possible. It's not just in the books or in the movies. It is possible for all of us,
hmm
and it's nice to see that it's making you happy and it's really, fulfilling for you. So yeah, it's very inspiring. Thank you.
You're welcome. One time someone said, and I love this, they said, if I can do it, you can do it better. So yeah, it's possible, and you can even do it better. Live your dreams.
Try at least. That's the main
Then
thing.
you'll try and you'll
Yeah.
succeed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just try wholeheartedly with the sacred yeses and the sacred nos. That's the secret.
yeah, that's a very big lesson for
Yeah.
everybody, I think. Thank you so much for talking to us. It's been so lovely. I've just been sat here listening the whole time. You're so calming. Like, even just listening to you talking, I'm just like, oh, I feel so, like, relaxed.
Oh, thank you. Well, when you come back to Miami, let's get together, and I'll give you a private meditation session, and you'll just
Oh, that
That would
would
be
be
amazing.
lovely.
yeah, come.
We do have one last question before we close off. It's something that we ask most of our guests when we remember. If you could speak to anybody who is dead or alive and famous or not, who do you think you would choose and why? What would you like to talk to them about?
Okay, so I don't think I would want to speak. I think I would rather listen.
Ooh.
Yeah. Probably Gandhi. I would just want to listen.
Never had this answer before. That is a very interesting way to
Yeah.
put it. Like, despite the person, I would just like to listen. That is a very powerful statement. It also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, what can I contribute? I'd rather listen, absorb, and then share it forward afterwards.
Wow. I love that. That's really interesting. Very,
Thank
very powerful answer. Thank you so much, Emilia. I will link in the description and the show notes your website, your Instagram, your Spotify, so people can look at everything that you do, listen to your music, book a meditation, or attend your retreat and everything. So everything will be down there so people can check it out. And again, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And we will see you again next Wednesday for a brand new episode. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.